Okay, hello everyone, nice to meet you today. My name is Adelia and I am from Indonesia. If previously we have listened to demonstration about global life, then what most of us think is a modern lifestyle that is fast and always involves technological innovation in everything. But before that, let's talk about the reality behind global life today. Almost all of us know that the global life is currently facing quite deep uncertainty due to the tariff war and the West war, which have been a massive impact on the stability of international trade, where there has been a significant decline in economic growth and disruption of the supply chain that burdens export-import contributors throughout the world, including Asia. The plantation sector, especially the tea commodity, is a subsector that is greatly affected by this phenomenon, considering that tea is an important commodity with a very broad and deep existence and has a close influence on the economy, culture, and even health. With this downturn, it has triggered increasingly severe social and economic inequality among world tea farmers, and 70% of whom are small farmers in developing countries, mainly spread across Asia, Africa, South America, part of Eastern Europe, and also including my country, Indonesia. For my country, Indonesia, tea is the third highest foreign exchange contributor and is closely related to the people's lives, considering that almost all social activities or banquet in Indonesia begin with serving and drinking tea. However, for tea farmers, especially in Indonesia, who almost all live in the remote mountainous areas, the inequality due to the current phenomenon has become a massive issue and has created a limitation for small farmers in marketing their own processed tea product. And what I will tell you now is about life in one of the remote village that produce local tea leaves of sufficient quality and the people who initiate it. And then the place called Antapan Mayungan, a small village that I visit is located in the hilly area of northern Bali, inhabited by 42 families with social and economic inequality, minimum electricity, pump water, no internet connection, and also no formal education or health service. So far, they have only depend on the agriculture sector for their living, namely as a farmer and tea picker in the expense of garden which they jointly initiated and which have been passed down through the generation. In a day, the village community already produces and sells 20 to 40 kilograms of raw tea leaves to exporters at a relatively cheap price and of minimal quality. This is caused by the lack of adequate facilities and knowledge in the cultivation and processing of tea leaves, especially now that the global market is experiencing a decline. Apparently, tea continues to be a popular and sought after drink worldwide because of its health benefit as a global health levels decline due to the pandemic, which has had an impact on life, and significant climate change, which has then resulted in rapid demand of tea on the global market. This would be a great opportunities for tea farmers, especially in improving the living standard of living and economy, and if only they could sell tea that has gone through processing process and better quality. Of course, in the current condition, they can still sell or export tea even at the price twice as high as before. Starting from the need for community welfare and the global escalation of global health inspired me to build a local production house as a contextual production and education place and has a complete facilities to support the potential for good disease growth, so it can create the new quality standard that are able to compete in the global market. It's maintaining its locality and essence as a cultural identity. And then this design was then I call it Mayungan Teh. Mayungan means the location where it was founded, and Teh means tea. Located in North Mayungan, which is directly to the tea farmer dwelling with a difficult accessibility, but is still classified as a strategic. Previously, the site function is a communal space to collect and weigh the harvest of raw tea, and the surrounding conditions are filled with the wood waste from regeneration of tea plants, as well as a construction waste, bamboo, and wild rattan. Previously, the site functioned as the activities of tea picker in Antapan Mayungan were limited to 1. Tea picking, 2. Collect the picking result, 3. Weighing the harvest, and then the last one, selling it at a low price. However, Mayungan Teh provide facilities to increase the work cycle to picking, collecting, weighing, drying, roasting and grinding, sorting, packaging, and selling with the price increase twice as much as before. In addition, what I will do is build a collaboration and empowerment of the village community based on respect for locality. Loading several improvements from before and aiming to realize local design facilities that help improve the welfare of the community, especially in the cultivation and processing of tea into a high value and product than before. With the concept of building adaptive reuse from previous simple communal buildings, which will later become a production house based on the development of locality rules in an identity or sign that can ignite the spirit of the farmer and also be able to accommodate the new innovation in form of the research, technological development and tea innovation on a local scale, can stimulate the village economy through the job creation and local procurement. With taking inspiration from the local buildings, Mayungan Teh is designed with a modified local wooden structure and consists of 4 main building masses that retain most of the original landscaping to create a natural and authentic interior space ambience. The production room is partly built inside as a space for workers to rest at night. The choice of materials is dominated by unused material available around the site, namely local wood, bamboo, and local rattan, each of which has its own characteristic color and resistant to the extreme mountain weather, then undergone slight improvement and been modified to become a new form of acculturation and look fresh for the local community. The improvisation and modification of local bamboo and rattan, which form a traditional interwoven pattern called kelabang pattern, with a strong essence without binding and opening in the space-forming elements, has a great influence on energy efficiency and optimal functionality. Apart from that, this opening also gives a natural and aesthetic impression to the space. This is the site plan of Mayungan Teh design, which consists several spirit building masses inspired by local Balinese settlement pattern, which generally have a compound building masses. Striving to maintain its original contour, which has quite significant elevation difference, considering its location in the hill area, divided into 5 elevation levels, which place the production area at the highest levels as the scene of main room of this production house. Several areas of architecture are used as a source of food, protection, and hope for the community that shelters them. The interior space concept was created as a multifunctional space that prioritizes optimal functionalities and ergonomic elements, which then grow into a mutual space. The implementation of mutual locality is transformed into a roof form that takes the local roof structure called jineng as the essence of prosperity and well-being, which is characterized by multifunctional and towering roof shape, has a large storage space and multifunctional aspect as an organic planting medium, and the legs are used as a poultry shake that produce food for consumption for the shelter community and produce fertilizer for tea plants from poultry droppings. And then another implementation can be seen in several parts of wall, which use wooden structure and multifunctional as a storage for firewood source from regenerated wood from tea trees for the need of roasting tea itself and kitchen fireplace. Not only that, several small things are also used as something multifunctional, such as tampah or in-use tea basket, being used as a simple decorative lighting elements which provide a reflective light effect and creating the impression of an erotic space. In connection with the difficulty of water, due to the lack of access to pump water channels, this area uses an energy-efficient building system with an optimizing water recycling system wherein water is collected in one large container, which has a filtration pipe for regular watering of tea plants and consumption needs. Not only water, optimizing light and natural ventilation to this was also implemented by providing opening in the architecture and interior with a cross-panel wall system. And then next, I will invite you into the interior design and space. The first one, activities begin when the workers come to pick fresh tea leaves to then be produced into a packaged tea product. After picking, all the tea pickers gather in the production area to wake their harvest, which is then continued with sorting it carefully to ensure that no old or deformed stems of tea leaves are produced. After sorting, the wet tea leaves are then dried in the traditional way, namely leaving them in an open area for a few moments. While waiting for drying, workers prepare to take turns taking lunch break. And then after the lunch break is over, the activities continue with collecting the dried tea leaves and then roasting them and withering them on a large frying pan while sitting comfortably and interacting with other fellow workers who are also doing the same activity. After roasting, some of the tea leaves are taken to the storage area with a large tampa for oxidation and cooling naturally, and some of the cooled tea leaves are taken to the milling area to then be ground using a simple machine, and some also use a traditional tool called a grinding stone. Then the grinding activity was finished, and all the fine tea was stored again in the large storage space while waiting to be packaged. And then a few moments later, several workers start packing tea in simple packaging. The tea powder is first weighing according to the package size and then added. And the packaged tea is then stored on the back shelf of the packaging area to be counted according to demand and ready to be distributed. Evening has arrived, which means their working hours are over for today. They then tidied up all their work to continue tomorrow and continue to picking hydroponic food plants on the other wall of the production area, which were then cooked for dinner. While waiting for dinner, several residents gathered to joke around in the upper room and enjoy the tea they made. Meanwhile, the kitchen area looked busy at lunchtime and in the evening after all day's production work was finished. Several workers were enjoying food from living building of this production house, and the children were happily playing with their pet chickens. Continuing in the workshop room, it was seen after the lunch break, the children had gathered to study together with tea leaves and products that were not stable for sale. They also saw several picture storybooks that they had received from activists observing micro-farmers who had come to give them tea workshop. This way they can learn a little about law considering they do not have access to formal education. Overall, it can be clearly seen the improvement in all aspects of this design, not just an escalation of the welfare and health, but are also a manifestation of life of Antapan Mayungan community. This production house design contains solutions that impact many aspects, including social impact, namely becoming a production house that carries out community empowerment practice by providing training and education, as well as a cultural reservation within the scope of local architecture, local habit, local ergonomic, and local nature reserve. The economic impact is stimulating the rural economy, poverty alleviation, and can increase foreign exchange by encouraging growth in entering global market. The health impact is to participate in improving health to high quality and nutrient-rich tea product, as well as maintaining sanitation with hygienic and structured processing and packaging practice. And if this design is realized in accordance with the narrative and noble vision, I'm sure that this design will continue to able to support and prosper the community in Mayungan sustainably, making the local tea product that are identified as a superior product in the global market, while also being able to participate in improving health to high quality to even the economy globally with the local solutions. Finally, Mayungan Teh becomes an icon of a local design solution that suggests that we as a designer should take a role in providing solution to the global world challenge, especially in the tea commodity, and establishing cooperation from Asia to the world to agree to meet at a certain quality standard in an effort to win the global market again, starting from a local scale. And then I'm sure that this is a starting point, and its application is not only limited to my country, Indonesia, which has an inequality of tea farmer in each region, but are also many countries in the world that have the same problems and applied with the same pattern. And then that's all from me, Mayungan Teh and its essence of life. Thank you.